Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's going on, Fantasy Champs? It's rookie mock season. We're going to do 3 in 2 weeks. Or something.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Grind these boys out.
It should be fun. I am very excited for the NFL draft. I love seeing all these young kids get actually selected and then be zeros at some point.
Or studs.
Or absolute freaking man-eating studs. What are the chances that Garrett Wilson ends up like Elijah Moore?
Why you always going to the Jets?
I don't know, dude. I hate the Jets.
I think Garrett Wilson had a lot better of a rookie year than Elijah Moore did. So
okay, fair enough.
He had 1,000 yards as a rookie.
Yeah, we probably could have drafted him.
No. A talented wide receiver in the top 15?
Can't do that.
Actually, he was 10th overall, so
yeah, that's not good. But anyway, rookie mock draft. Super fun. These only happen like one time per year, and the window is like I want to do a start. I want to do a dynasty startup, which I don't think we did a startup mock draft at all.
We got to do a dynasty startup.
I want to do a startup. I want to record the night we draft, and I want to get a bunch of people in the fantasy football community involved in this nonsense.
Okay.
So I'm gonna put that together, and I want money involved, real money.
Yeah.
I gamble too much, but we need to get some real money involved in this. So I'll set that up. We'll be a whole show. We'll bust through an hour and a half draft and post it on our YouTube channel. Anyway, so yeah, we're going to do a rookie mock, though. These are always fun. Usually right after the draft is when people start getting these things kicked into gear, the real thing. So we're going to do, I think, one rookie mock draft after the NFL draft with all the information that we have and guide you through that. But before we jump into this mock, check out our website, fantasygems.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any other podcasting platforms, please leave a review and share this pod with your friends. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, like and comment down below any questions you may have. So this should be fun. This should be interesting. This is the first real mock that we have done since we did a fake one a couple weeks ago.
We did a fake one, yeah.
So. But this is the first real mock draft that we have done since August. Not redraft related, but so it should be fun. It should be interesting. We are drafting against bots. I think next week I'm going to try to get some real people in here. Usually it takes a hot minute, but for this one, we're just going to do it against bots. This should be relatively quick because we're only doing 4 rounds.
Yep.
So
like most rookie drafts.
So it should be really interesting, but we'll jump into that. So it's going to be PPR, Dynasty, Superflex.
So
the quarterbacks will be very plenty in this situation. And so PPR 12 team snake. Just so if you don't know about Dynasty, all rookie drafts are linear like the NFL draft. So what that means is that it doesn't snake around the pick.
Quit snaking around.
Yes, quit snaking around. It goes back to the first overall pick team. So with all that being said, let's get started. Before we do, Rick, let's you're pick 6 here, and I'm pick 4. So I'm gonna pick as if I'm rebuilding. Okay.
Okay.
And you're gonna pick as if you were a very good team that had 12 injuries and underperformed.
Okay. I think I can contend this year.
All right. So I'm curious. I just want to see what you do and see if anybody falls. All right. Ready to get started?
Yep.
All right. Here we go. I turned off the sounds. Usually I don't do that. And I'm like, what the frick? It just blows my eardrums out. But I turned off the sounds this time.
That was clutch. And I'm glad you said that because I just turned it off.
Did you get the sounds?
I did not, but I think it was just because It wasn't on my pick. I don't know.
So 101, Bijan Robinson, CJ Stroud, and then Bryce Young. In real non-bodified rookie mock drafts, do you see CJ Stroud coming off the board? I mean, Bijan Robinson coming off the board as the 101.
There's a lot of people who, and a lot of mocks I've seen where he is the 101. It's almost like undisputed, which is very interesting to me because I love him as a prospect. I think he's the best running back since Saquon came out of the draft. We've said all these things, but he's still a running back. So I do think it's kind of interesting to see him at the 101. But I don't hate it. I think I would probably go Bryce Young. I don't know how you would feel, or maybe whoever just goes first overall. I think I'd probably go Bryce Young, number one. But maybe if I'm a contending team and I just somehow got the first overall pick and I'm pretty good at quarterback, then I wouldn't think twice and I would take Bijan.
Yeah.
And you're on the clock.
Yeah, I am on the clock. I got 24 hours. Give me a minute.
24 hours.
Yeah, dude.
You got 60 seconds.
No, I do find it interesting though that Bijan Robinson is going as the 101 at this point.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about Dynasty in general, like the last couple of weeks, because we've been in a league together for 4 seasons now, well, several leagues actually.
Yeah, there's one league I think we've been in for about 4 years.
Yeah.
Almost.
So, my question is, how long do these things last? Like, I feel like we're in several leagues, and some of them are active and some of them are not active.
Right.
But and some of them start off like super active, everyone's chatting with each other, and then they just kind of fade. And I feel like the amount that I'm in makes it hard for me to be able to participate as much as I'd like to in some of these leagues. But I have a home league where it's redraft and I just freaking go nuts. And so I want a dynasty home league here that I put as much effort into in the offseason as I do my redraft league. And I haven't found that yet. But it's like, I feel like our fantasy league or redraft home league, what has that been going for, like 12 years, 10 years, whatever it is. So it's like, if you have a dynasty league that's going that long, then yes, I think taking Bijan 1-1 is a mistake. But if you're just joining a money league and you don't anticipate being longer 5 years, Bijan's fine if you need a running back. But there's this, like I said when we were, on our running back ranking show, like, people think this guy is a Saquon Barkley generational talent. I wasn't kidding. So people are going to go for him 101, and it's going to be, like, if you want him and you're sitting at 1-4 like me and you're thinking I need a running back, it's probably better that you trade up and just get him, because I unless the team that's 101 in your league desperately needs a quarterback, I don't think he's going to take him.
Correct. I agree.
But after that, Bijan picks. Stroud and Bryce Young come off the board. I think in any particular order, depending on your superflex league, those two guys will go off the board exactly in those two spots. But depending on the collegiate leanings of the person, they'll probably.
I have a question.
Okay, question me.
You're sitting there at pick 2.
Mm-hmm.
You do take Young or Stroud?
I take Young.
Now, another question. Does that change if Stroud goes first and Young goes second overall? Or does it not matter?
It does not matter.
Okay, I am in agreement.
Now, the only reason Bryce has Frank Reich as his head coach, right? And CJ Stroud
if he in that scenario,
D'Amico Ryans. So yeah, I'd take Bryce Young.
Yeah, but what if that scenario happens? Stroud goes second. They also take JSN at pick 12, and now you got a wide receiver, maybe a little more juice there. Gets his college teammate.
That's Houston, right?
Yep. So it makes you think. I think I'd probably go Young over Stroud.
Yeah, I go Young over Stroud.
Either way, but that is the only scenario that I would heavily consider Stroud. Might convince me otherwise.
All right, so now I'm on the clock, and I got to get my unicorns. So I'm gonna go out and get Anthony Richardson. We talked about him before. Absolute freak of nature. This is a risk pick, and if I'm rebuilding, I don't necessarily think this is the best idea.
You probably have another late first, a couple seconds, a third.
Yeah, and like in Superflex League, it's really hard because you want to have multiple quarterbacks, and you want to have. even just you need more than 2. First off, you need like 4 quarterbacks, maybe 5. Because there are gonna be times where you like, to me, this is the way I look at it. You need 2 starters. You need a developmental guy. You need a backup for bye weeks.
Okay.
And you need another guy in case there's injury. So that's kind of where my brain's at this point. I like to have a lot of quarterbacks in my superflex leagues for that reason. But if you're rebuilding and you're most likely I will say in superflex leagues, like if you have 2 quarterbacks that are really good, you're not losing games. So if you're losing, you probably have a problem at quarterback. And you need to address that immediately. So I would almost always take a quarterback on a rebuild team first. But I wouldn't begrudge you if you decide to take wide receivers, because the receivers last a very long time. If you hit on a guy like a couple years ago, Justin Jefferson, that's obviously helping out your team significantly now. So. Taking wide receivers is not an issue. They last a long time, but it's quarterbacks, it's wide receivers. That's where my rebuild starts. Is probably where my draft is going to go, and I take a Richardson as my first pick.
No, that's fair. Good pick, especially for a rebuilding team. JSN goes 5, and now at pick 6. I think there's a couple options. I don't think Will Levis is a bad pick here, especially if he goes like let's say he was 4th overall to the Colts. Mm-hmm. I think that would be a good spot for him here to get a starting quarterback who went in the top 5 of the draft at pick 6.
Yeah,
I think that's a good pick. I think Quentin Johnston's not too awful here. Jordan Addison, Zay Flowers, I think you can make the argument for whoever your wide receiver 2 is. But as a team that thinks he can compete, and I'm getting potentially the next Alvin Kamara, give me him all day. Give me Gibbs all day.
Based on what you're trying to do, good pick.
Yeah, I think you could plug and play him year 1. He might, like this year, depending on his landing spot, we could be talking about him in redrafts as like an RB2. So I think you could just plug and play him right there.
Yeah. I was going to say.
He still has a lot of upside as well.
Too, if you were in Rick's position, you're a team that's ready to build, typically the last 2 positions, like I said, the first 2 positions in a rebuild, quarterback, wide receiver, if you get those nailed down, the last position I really think about is running back. And if you're in that position where you can win and you can get a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs in the first round of a rookie draft, you have to smash that button.
Yeah.
Good pick. Good pick. Since this is 12 teams, we should have done 10 team, because we're not going to know anyone after these picks. So good luck to us. Especially when at least after the draft, you know which guys are on what teams and where they were taken, and so you can kind of take a shot at guys in the later rounds. But we can't do that here. No one has.
And especially some of the running backs on this list could be drastically different before versus after the draft, depending on how they get drafted and where they get drafted.
Yeah. So after Rick's pick, we had Jordan Addison, Will Levis. So it looks like he's going to be a first round pick. Were you taking Will Levis in the first round?
If the draft capital is there, yes.
Okay.
Late first, but yeah.
Quentin Johnston. And then
that's a good pick at 1-9.
Third running back off the board, which I don't agree with, is Zach Charbonnet. And then you had Zay Flowers, Josh Downs.
I like Zay at 1-11.
The only guy that I would swap out here is probably Devin Akane for Zach Charbonnet, but I think that pretty much holds first round.
Yeah.
And then Michael Mayer, top tight end in the draft class. There's a
that
lot of
sense.
good tight ends. You could even take Dalton Kincaid. He's he's very good as well. There's another freak that I might take later. I'm not going to say who it is, but I want him. He might not even be later. But anyway, and then you have Devin Akane. What is it, Zach Evans? Is that right?
Yes.
There we go. Gee willikers. I was hoping I didn't say his name wrong. So, at this point, I will say this particular draft class is not loaded at the wide receiver position. After Jackson Smith and maybe Zay Flowers, I don't really love anyone at the receiver position. There's a bunch of guys I do like. One of them happens to be Jalen Hyatt. He's 6 foot. Why can't I take him? What's going on here? Sleeper.
6 foot 185.
6 foot 185. It won't let me select him. Hold on. There we go. Boom. Selected. So Jalen Hyatt is 6 foot 185. He was supposed to run a faster 40 time than he did. What was it? 4.4?
Yeah.
Something like
I
that.
think which still isn't bad, but he was like a speedster.
He was supposed to be like a guy that ran like a Josh Downs type player who runs super fast, but he's on the taller side. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Devonta Smith in that aspect. Tall, lanky, not a lot of muscle. So, I do like him, but it is a little bit more of a stretch pick depending on where he lands. But I got to take a receiver here, and this after this, it kind of is it falls off.
I mean that's totally fair. It's interesting. There's a couple of directions I could go in here. As a team that's looking to compete, I wouldn't mind taking another running back here. Sean Tucker is the top one on the board. For me, the best available is probably Kendrick Miller. But one of those two guys. I think Dalton Kincaid here is actually not a bad pick, especially considering he's projected to go in the first round in a lot of mocks as like a late first round pick. So to get a first round pick tight end in the second round, pretty good. But tight ends are very developmental. I don't know if he's someone that's going to help me year one. And then Hendon Hooker is an interesting one because he could be worthless here, or you're getting a starting quarterback in the second round. I'm sure you've seen the reports where some teams think he's top 3 on their draft board in terms of quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Some teams have a first round grade on him. Some teams don't want to take him in the first 3 rounds.
Kind of reminds me slightly of Davis Mills, the year Mills got taken.
Yeah. And do I want to take Davis Mills?
No.
Not really.
But if you hit the third round and that quarterback's available.
Oh, 1,000,000%.
Yeah.
And depending on his landing spot in draft capital, I would take him here 100%. But if he goes in the first round of the NFL draft and it's to a team where you could theoretically see him playing soon, I would take him in the middle of the second round, sure. In a super flex league.
That might be the worst pick in the history of the NFL picks, though.
For the NFL?
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be.
That'd be a pretty awful pick.
Especially depending on how high he goes. But
yeah,
that's to be determined. So he's somebody that I would highly, highly consider depending on his spot. But for now, I'll go Kendrick Miller, another running back.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Who is somebody who you could get in the second round, might go in the second or third round in the NFL draft, and you get a potential starting running back there in the second round, which ends up being really good value.
Yeah, not a bad pick. Sean Tucker, Dalton Kincaid, Hendon Hooker, Cedric Tillman.
I like Team 9.
Tajay Spears. Yeah, what are they doing over there? That could be really great or
that's really good or really bad.
And then you had McBride, Keyshawn Boutte, Rice, and Scott. Coming up to my pick here, like I said, this is shot plays. For me, I would take another wide receiver if the wide receivers were bigger. I do like Xavier Hutchinson. I'm probably gonna wait on him.
Okay.
He's 6'3", 205. He ran a slower 40 time, but he's big wide receiver. A.T. Perry is also interesting, 6'5", 205, from Wake Forest. So he's also an interesting player. I am going to take here Darnell Washington.
Figured.
Tight end. 6'7", 270 pounds out of Georgia. He ran a 4.64.
My gosh.
And then if that wasn't enough, I saw him actually catch balls, and he had like a one-handed catch. I was like, hold on a second. I was like, who is this guy, and why am I going to draft him in every dynasty league I am in? He's huge. He's athletic. He looks very talented. He's just, to me, he's an athletic freak. And I guess this is the draft of athletic freaks with Anthony Richardson. I'm going to add Darnell Washington to that unit.
I like it though.
Yeah,
it's the mold.
It fits the mold. So, like Washington here, Tanner McKee went after that pick, and then it's Rick.
Yeah, Washington's super high upside tight end there. I feel like once you get to the third round, it doesn't really matter if you're competing or rebuilding. It's just kind of all flyer picks. And I did go. I like Johnson here, who is the backup for Bijan, but he's kind of like that Michael Carter, Javonte situation in North Carolina. He has some talent, but I already went running back. And I'm going to go Marvin Mims here. I don't mind him. He's another kind of smaller receiver, but he's had some visits, some quote-unquote top 30 visits. So he could get drafted higher than people think. He ran a 4.38, and he's not like super, super small, 5'11", 185. So he's not like the 5'8", 150 kind of guy. So at 5'11", 185 and runs a 4.38, you could see something there. And I think in the third round, especially if he gets the draft capital, could be a steal.
Yeah. We had a little run on quarterbacks here.
I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know why either. Luke Musgrave, Johnson, Brown, 2 running backs. Then we have Stetson Bennett, Max Dugan, Darian Thompson. His full name, if you want to know what it is Dorian Thompson Robinson. And then Jaron Hall. Kraft and Mallory, both tight ends, which leaves me on the board. And so we had quarterbacks and tight ends, which means no running backs, no wide receivers. I like this.
Right.
I like it. So I'm gonna go with I actually like the build on this guy. I don't know nothing about him right now.
Is the guy you mentioned earlier?
Watch some film on him, and I probably shouldn't take him this high, but I'm gonna take A.T. Perry, dude.
Whoa.
4th round pick, shot play, 6'5", 205. Yes, please. He probably ran like a 6'7".
Probably. I'm taking another shot play too. I'm going off the board and the total opposite of your guy. Going Nathaniel Dell. Tanks Dell, baby. 4th round pick. He's like 5'8", 160.
You're all in on Tank
But
Dell.
the dude is electric. Probably gonna be a punt returner in the NFL, but
all right, hold on. I wanna look up A.T. Perry on Player Profiler. I can't do it on my computer because I'm screen sharing for you friggin' people on the internet, and I don't want to look like an idiot.
I could tell you. I'm surprised you didn't go Hutchinson there.
Yeah, I was gonna go Hutchison, but I saw the build and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go for it.
I mean, that's fair.
So listen, it's a mock draft.
No, that's fair. I think Dell only ran a 4.49. That's actually really sad. I thought he was way faster.
He's like, this guy's gonna light up the field. Okay, here we go. Holy crap!
Oh,
wait a minute.
Did you find your favorite 4th round sleeper?
Wait a minute. 6'3", 200.
So he's smaller than
4.47.
Oh, that's not bad.
72nd percentile speed score and 74th percentile burst score.
Okay.
Oh, he's 23.
Oh, that's not okay.
That's not good. Interesting.
He wasn't bad in college.
A breakout age was 21, so that's very not good.
Well, this is why he's not a first or probably 2nd round pick.
Interesting.
Could be a nice little flyer.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. We'll see what happens. That's an interesting player. I do think if you're really sitting there and you're me, you probably should take Xavier Hutchinson there, but I like height.
Yeah, but again, especially at this point in the draft, these guys are going to all totally change based on where they get drafted and their draft capital. Yeah. Like, who was the guy? It wasn't last year. It was the year before. Was it Tyron Wallace? Something like that?
Yeah, the guy from the Rams?
No, he was on the Ravens.
Oh yeah, that's right, Tylen.
But
Wallace.
he was Tylen Wallace. Yeah, he was like supposed to be like a early 3rd round pick in all the mocks we did, and then he ended up going undrafted in the NFL draft.
Gee willikers, dude.
So he just fell off.
Yeah.
So from the 3rd and 4th rounds, I think are all going to totally change.
And I think we are, like I said, we are doing multiple what is it? Rookie draft shows as we lead into the NFL draft. I think we're doing one next week, and then one the week of the actual NFL draft, and then do some pre-draft rankings. But it's hard pre-draft to determine a lot of these guys' landing spots because there are receivers, like Rick said, that you might like A.T. Perry that I just drafted here, or Xavier Hutchinson, or Tank Dell. And then they just go completely undrafted. And at that point, you don't want them. Like, there's still people running around on the internet talking about Justin Ross because he's practicing with Patrick Mahomes. Like, Justin Ross is going to be good. And if he ends up being good, you guys can clip this and put it on YouTube or it's Twitter or whatever you want. But like, there's always a guy who goes undrafted. And it's like, if you go undrafted, it makes your job really hard to become a success in the NFL. And it just means that NFL teams know this guy ain't it. And they're not going to give you the opportunity unless you completely earn it. And I think specifically with these receivers, like after Jackson Smith-Njigba, Jordan Addison, Quentin Johnson, Zay Flowers, Josh Downs, Jalen Hyatt, like I really don't see another receiver that's just big enough, not size-wise, but like production-wise or impressive enough talent-wise to be a top-end receiver drafted in the NFL. But then, like, you have weird guys get drafted in the second round. Tyquan Gordon last year. Kayshon Boutte is one of those guys. He was a 5-star freaking wide receiver recruit out of college. He was supposed to replenish the LSU wide receiver room.
And then he just sucked.
And then he just sucked in college. And so it's like, but everyone loves Kayshon Boutte because he has been one of those guys that was supposed to be this big draft selection, this friggin' fantasy darling, and he hasn't put it up. But like you see him, he's 3-1 right now on ADP for sleeper in rookie drafts, and it's like people still love him even though he hasn't been there. So it's like he could go undrafted or he could get drafted real high. You just never know. So, I guess we'll see what happens. But then landing spots for running backs matter. Like Bihan and Jameer are going 1-2. But after that, like if Devin Kane lands on a football team that needs a running back desperately, he's going to go before Zach Charbonnet in this draft, most likely.
Right.
Or Kendre Miller comes off as the second running back off the board. He's sure as hell going to fly up drafts as well. So you just got to see what happens. I would take Darnell Washington over and over again. I hope he doesn't suck. Because
I hope he does.
I'm a little excited. But anyway, who's your favorite team?
Can I say mine? No, I'm kidding. I think you did a good job. I think I did a good job. I don't know. I like team. I do like the upside of Team 9. And I don't hate Team 8 either. I think Team 8 did a good job.
Yeah, Team 8 didn't do bad either. Will Levis, Dalton Kincaid, Addison and Sean Tucker for Team 7. I was looking at the first teams. And I'm like, what do they do over here?
Yeah, I don't.
Michael Mayer.
I mean, that's not awful if he goes in like the top 20.
I do like Stroud and Akane, but I don't like how the rest of it panned out.
Yeah.
So anyway, I like my team.
You have a good team, yeah.
There you go. Rookie mock 101 in the books. What were you gonna say?
No, I was agreeing with you. I think you have a good team.
Okay, there you go. So we are going to do a lot more content next week. Another rookie mock. I think must draft running backs, wide receivers. I don't know, one of the two. That's for redraft, by the way. So we'll see you then. Bye, guys.
See you.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.